Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
Well, Donald Trump has had a lot of blowback from his foreign policy. It seems to be perhaps even slipping out of his hands. However, let's not ignore some of the domestic policies and some of the promises that he has fulfilled, despite all of the clouded blowback that we've seen through his foreign policy. Let's start in Michigan. Lansing, Michigan rescinds sanctuary status after criticism from businesses. So we all heard about the sanctuary cities when Donald Trump announced his new measure to curb illegal immigration. Of course, we saw many cities decide that they were going to be sanctuary cities. They were going to house non-citizens. This was immediately reflected by Sessions saying, okay, well, then we're going to cut your funding. Now these cities are hosting meetings, and guess what? The citizens and business owners in those towns are saying, we're not going to fall for this. Lansing, Michigan becomes the first city to officially rescind its sanctuary status. I think that this will be the first in a line of cities to do so. They voted on Wednesday to rescind this decision. And as you can see there, council members voted 5-2 to rescind it last week. And that just shows you that this is not popular, folks. So I think that this is something that we're going to see coming down the line here. But we'll see what the liberal cities want to do, even if the people, the citizens of the country, don't want that status. It seems to be the non-citizens that want that status. We'll see where that leadership decides to give the favor. Now, Breitbart is reporting Trump is deporting 4,000 Somali migrants. Now, think about this. Now, exactly where are the terrorists coming from? Now, maybe not Somali. Obviously, people coming from Somali might have different issues. But think about this, folks, especially considering what we've done in Syria lately, and of course, Afghanistan as well. Don't you think we might want to stop people from coming here now? I know that the bombings during the Obama administration were completely ignored, but they did happen. And to just let anybody come over here is a very dangerous idea at this point, especially considering we are still bombing countries overseas where we're taking refugees that are victims of our bombing. It is an equation that leads to disaster, and Trump sees that, and we're already seeing people getting deported as well as illegal immigrant apprehensions going up and people crossing the border going down. So this is where Trump is winning domestically. Secretary of State Chris Kobach announces first conviction of non-citizen voting in Kansas. Folks, you've heard the reports. Dead people voting, non-citizens voting. We've got all kinds of documented voter fraud, but seemingly hardly any action. Except against Acorn, have you heard any action on illegal votes being cast? I haven't until today, reported by the Kansas City Star. And Secretary of State Chris Kobach, who's announcing the conviction. This is another good sign domestically, folks. Now people will see if you're going to vote illegally in this country, you are going to have to face the law. And that's how it should be. If you're going to cross the border illegally, or if you're going to try to vote in this country illegally, we have laws, and guess what? We hold our citizens to those standards. So why wouldn't we hold non-citizens to at least the same standards? So there you go. You vote illegally, you're going to be convicted. This is from the Daily Caller. EPA is considering repealing another Obama-era coal regulation. So we've already had the EPA pulling back on many of its coal regulations. This is something Trump said he was going to do, send the coal miners back to work. Now the EPA is considering more. Environmental Protection Agency Administrator Scott Pruitt told business advocates the agency will consider a rule utilities worry could force more coal-fired power plants to close. So we're not just going to close all those power plants because Obama had an agenda to end coal. We're not just going to close all those power plants because Obama said he would. No, we're going to let the American coal miners go back to work, and Trump is already forcing the EPA to move on some of those standards set. Now, this is one that has been highly scrutinized by the left, and it's funny how they like to spin this. President Trump signs law to let states defund Planned Parenthood. So what does the left say about this? Oh, you know, Donald Trump signs the most anti-woman legislation yet. It's funny how the left just doesn't understand how reality works. It's funny how liberals just don't get it, do they? Donald Trump did nothing except state a matter of fact that is already in law, that guess what? States have the right already to make that decision. States' rights already exist. All Donald Trump did was reaffirm the fact that states' rights already exist. But the left twists it and says, this is the most anti-woman legislation yet. Donald Trump is taking money away from women that need it. Donald Trump didn't take any money from anybody. No money was even changed hands with the signing of this law. All Donald Trump did was affirm that states have rights to defund Planned Parenthood. But why does the left freak out? Because the left knows that government funding Planned Parenthood is illegal. That's why the left freaks out, folks, because they know it's illegal. They know that Trump is finally calling it out, and they know that they're not going to get their taxpayer-funded abortions anymore. So thank you, Donald Trump, and thank you to the left for showing you have no idea how the law works. Thank you very much. Now, Trump is winning with NATO. Even though we're upset with the flip-flopping he's done on NATO, you have to give him credit here. NATO chief, allied spending up $10 billion because of Trump. Now, we remember what Trump said when he was on the campaign. He said that, guess what? Other people need to foot the NATO bill. It's time for the United States to stop footing the bill for NATO and to look elsewhere to say, hey, why don't you pull your weight around here? And Donald Trump used to say NATO is obsolete. Now he comes out and says it's not obsolete anymore. I wonder if this has anything to do with that about it, because NATO is no longer relying on the United States dollar to pull all of its funding, getting billions now more from other nations that are within NATO aside from the United States. So that's another way that Trump is going to save us money and comes through on what he was saying. This is shocking, though. Merkel finally confesses there is no doubt some asylum seekers are terrorists. Folks, this rhetoric would not exist if Donald Trump was not the president of the United States. Yeah, look at that embarrassment. She has to admit it now because it's so real. Trump has been so spot on with his foreign policies as far as the border is concerned. And the whole world has seen what liberal open borders has done to Europe. So Merkel finally has to admit it, even though we all already knew. Yes, no doubt, some asylum seekers are terrorists. Amazingly, though, even though she says that, there you go, folks, she still says no limit. Or that's actually an old story, but she hasn't taken this back. This has been the same message coming from Merkel. No limit, even though today she says, no doubt some are terrorists, have not changed the line from no limit on the amount of refugees we will take in. But again, has to admit it now. I think that rhetoric comes straight out of the non-PC president in the United States. Now, this is interesting. U.S. drops largest non-nuclear bomb in Afghanistan after Green Beret killed. So what this means to me, essentially, is that Donald Trump heard about the Green Beret that was killed, and you know what? He wanted to do something about it. He wasn't just going to have a soft policy where you hear about a Green Beret getting killed and then you do nothing. He wasn't going to have a soft policy where you hear about a chemical attack, whether you believe it was real or not, and just do nothing like seemingly the Obama administration did. He said, you know what? A Green Beret got killed. These ISIS terrorists are running amok. We're finally going to respond. And so what does he do? He drops a huge bomb on ISIS. Now, this is the big one to me. Brazil's political class is in crisis as over 100 are investigated for corruption. To me, this is where Trump is failing us domestically, folks. And he's still got plenty of time. So I'm not saying that he's failed us entirely on this. He's got time to do it. But this is what we need, okay? If they can do it in Brazil, if Brazil can have the Lava Jato, why can't we have our Drain the Swamp? We've got hundreds of politicians. The richest man in Brazil just got indicted for crimes. Donald, it's time for you to bring this to America. We want this in the United States. We elected you to drain the swamp. We're witnessing this happen in Brazil right now. Why is it happening here? And you know what? I understand that you want to pit Comey as the reason why Hillary Clinton still walks free. But guess what? President Trump. That's right. President Trump. You have the power to do something about this. Why aren't you doing it? We want to see Hillary Clinton locked up. That will set an example for the rest of the crooked politicians.
Alex Jones here with a very important news update to anybody out there that wants to be prepared. But it goes beyond being prepared. Our bodies absolutely must have the good halogen iodine or we will die. And you look at all of the thyroid problems and all the people that don't have energy and that have all sorts of hormone problems. And from my research, and a lot of just mainline research, it leads back to iodine over and over and over again. It's as important as vitamin C. If you don't get iodine, you die. But most people are just deficient, so they're low energy, they're sick. You got to have iodine in your body so that your body can produce the hormones you need. It is the base to so many things. And since I got into iodine 4 years ago, we've helped change the entire paradigm by developing and bringing to the public deep earth crystals from 7,000 to 12,000 feet of the purest iodine available. Other iodine comes from the ocean or from other byproducts of chemical facilities and is tainted. It's bound. It's not absorbable. I tried it. And I had incredible effects even with dirty iodine because the body needs it. When you don't have iodine, it absorbs the chlorine, the fluoride, and all these other bad halogens. Do yourself and your family a favor and check out the importance of iodine for yourself. I think you're going to be blown away. And whatever you do, support the broadcast and get a bottle of Survival Shield Nascent Iodine X2. Also consult your physician because if you've been deficient in it or have other issues, it can have some dramatic effects. As for me and most folks I talk to, it's been a game changer in the positive column, but still consult your physician because iodine is no joke. It's a key building block of the body. And if you haven't had it for a long time and suddenly have it, some folks say they've experienced things like a detoxing effect and things like that. You've got to have vitamin C. You've got to have iodine to live. You got to have water to live. Iodine is key. You must have it, but consult your physician first before you get powerful Survival Shield Nascent Iodine X2 at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll free. We can answer your questions, 888-253-3139.